Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Coffee Klatch.
Coffee Klatch. Now, today being Thursday, it is
Conspiracy Thursday. We've decided to go with conspiracy theories on Thursday for our Coffee Klatch. My cup today, Mama needs some coffee.
Mama needs some coffee.
And she does need coffee today.
Okay. So one of the things that popped up in our heads was the good old Jimmy Hoffa story. It's one of those ones that you'll never find the answer to it until we actually get to gnaw on his skull.
Right.
Because his body disappeared completely.
In 1975. He disappeared. They haven't found his body. They know what diner he was at when he disappeared, but they haven't been able to find him. And a lot of people are like, well, there are a lot of, construction projects going on. That could have just buried him in the foundation of a building.
And there's a lot of stuff going on in Chicago, which is, 1,000 miles away, where the Teamsters were located. But Hoffa was taken in New Jersey.
I believe so.
Yeah. Okay,
Could have been New York, but they're so close.
So James Riddle Hoffa was an American labor union leader who served as the president of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters from 1957 until 1971. From an early age, Hoffa was a union activist and became an important regional figure for the Teamsters in his mid-20s. And then July 30th, 1975, he disappeared from Broomfield Township, Michigan.
Oh, he disappeared from Michigan?
Yeah. Now,
for some reason I thought it was New Jersey. But it's what I get for
have you ever been to New Jersey? I remember flying into New Jersey in 1982, and as I'm standing there at the airport looking out over Newark, it looked like a scene from Blade Runner. I'm sure it's much prettier now. Charter Township of Oakland County, state of Michigan. Now, during that time in downtown Detroit, they were building several really huge buildings trying to revitalize downtown Detroit, which failed because it went $100 million over. But what 1,000 acres of concrete poured over, a random Italian guy, could hide his body quite effectively for the last 50 years. So until we knock down those buildings and something pops up out of the concrete, we'll probably never know. But I'm assuming, of course, those guys like to put each other in barrels and throw each other in the Great Lakes.
Oh, the Great Lakes up there in the Upper Peninsula.
A million things could have happened to it.
And Michigomi never gives up his dead.
Let's just not sing that song. That'll make me cry. But Jimmy Hoffa, being the president of the Teamsters, was a very powerful position. And to keep that power, you needed to be in charge of a lot of people, a lot of things, and be able to interact with city, state, federal organizations, as well as those guys who take care of the waste treatment plants, if you know what I mean. It's the bread and butter, and you better slip them a little butter. Of course, that was way back then. I'm sure it doesn't exist now. Wink, wink, nod, nod. But Jimmy Hoffa ran the whole thing. And then one day they went, you know what? Jimmy's not paying us no more. So, hey, Jimmy, look over there. And Jimmy disappeared. Mr. Hoffa, several movies have been made about him, including The Irishman.
I've seen the movie Hoffa.
Yeah, the movie Hoffa, and then The Irishman. He was the quintessential maverick of the era bringing in the unions, when they were paying guys pennies a day, he stepped in his early 20s and really created the union environment in the Chicago area. The truck drivers, the Teamsters, almost encompasses all of industry as we know it. Because if you're not a Teamster, you're making pennies. And for better or for worse, a lot of our federal rules and regulations have stemmed from union rules and regulations across the board. So Hoffa, though he didn't seem like a very nice guy, helped a lot of people make a living wage.
I wouldn't say he wasn't a nice guy. He wasn't a guy who was on the up and up. He wasn't legitimate.
And everybody says that about powerful men. Because you don't get to be at the top of your field. You don't become a billionaire by being a sweetie baby. You got to crack some heads. You got to bust some skulls. And if he went around the corner every now and again, wink, wink, nod, nod. Was it to help other people or to line his own pocket? Or both? Because he made a lot of money doing it. Mm-hmm. And somebody else stepped in and went, you know what? I want all that money and power. And you got to be able to fight these guys off. And Hoffa was getting up there in age. He, as they say, no country for old men. Not when there's hungry sharks coming up behind you. Any thoughts on Mr. Hoffa?
I don't think we will ever know his final resting place. We will never know exactly what happened to him. Excuse me. And I could be wrong. There could be breaking news tomorrow that another dump of Twitter files is released, and oh my gosh, we know what happened to Hoffa. This is where he is.
Well, they won't even release the JFK files. So do you think they'd release the CIA or the FBI whacking Hoffa?
No. And the reason we say they're not releasing the JFK files is in December there were, was it 5,000 documents released? And I didn't go through the documents, but watching America's Untold Stories and Mark Robert, he did go through all the documents that were released. And most of them had nothing to do with JFK. Nothing. So that's another one that, unless we have a president in there who can't be bought, who can't be persuaded to, save this one because, you might really ruin things for the Democrats, or you might really ruin things for the Republicans. We're not going to get all of the files. Every time there's a dump, there will be one or two related to JFK, but the majority of them won't be.
Oh, yeah, and Hoffa threatened JFK. He was, when the Senate was hounding him to find out what was going on with the Teamsters, and they were doing a full investigation. What's the younger Kennedy brother's name? Robert Kennedy was was a senator at the time, and was grilling him.
Was it Robert or was it Edward? If he was a senator, it might have been Edward Kennedy.
And Hoffa basically told him, pack sand. Hey, which Kennedy brother investigated Hoffa? Bobby. Spent years investigating Hoffa, first as chief counsel to the Senate Rackets Committee, and later as Attorney General, intent on convicting the corrupt union leader. Of course, he never did, so you don't know if he's corrupt or not. And here's one from a Detroit newspaper. Click on Detroit. Hoffa versus Kennedy. A look at the blood feud. Episode 3 of Shattered. Hoffa now available.
Yeah,
that's a book reference. Okay, so that's just. But you know, powerful people attract powerful enemies. If you have something they want, they're going to come after you. But until, like Kim has said, until we can gnaw on his skull, we'll never know the answer.
And it will probably be his body is discovered by accident. If it's ever discovered.
And you know, there's two ways to think of things. One, we have a government filled with diabolical evil. Or two, we have a government filled with bumbling dummies. Which one would you prefer? Well, that'd be funny if one day they went, oh yeah, isn't that Hoffa's car? I said, it's been in the back of this restaurant for all these years. Nobody looked. Oh yeah, that's him behind the steering wheel. I doubt it's going to turn out like that. Hoffa was driving down the road and had a heart attack and fell into a ditch. Who knows?
Yeah, there's no...
I like to prefer the thought that the government is filled with dummies. Because it scares you too bad thinking that it's all a diabolical plot. But that's why we have... What are we doing today?
Conspiracy theories.
Conspiracy Theory Thursdays. Please, anybody have any comments? Please post them. We would love to talk about this because, you know, we found a couple things on the internet about Hoffa. I'm sure we're not even touching the real story, just what they want us to talk about. Nobody knows the real story. Let us know what you think. Like and subscribe. Make a nice comment, and we'll have a conversation about this. And we will, if we ever get comments, we will read the comments on air.
Mm-hmm. If they're appropriate to read on air.
Yeah, that one comment was kind of mean. But he said it in Latin. He was something about amscre obiserae illegitimo or something like that. I'm still waiting on a translation.
You might have to go to Buddy Hackett for that.
Oh. Hey. See you tomorrow on Klatch. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.